I have Wayne, the Money Man C, on here, coming to you
Hold
live
on,
and direct.
hope you guys can see me because I can see you.
All right, so basically, we wanted to talk to you about funding, the basics of business funding and how to use it for real estate. As I mentioned previously, a lot of our clients and the people that we serve are in the real estate industry, and we want to talk about business credit. So business credit cards, want to talk to you about business lines of credit and also personal like cash lines of credit as well, cash loans. So I just want to give you a brief introduction of who we are. So we're going to talk about, give you an introduction of who we are, give you an overview, also talk about the update of COVID-19 and how that's affecting the industry, just a little short update on that. Then jump right into how to get funded and what your next steps are. Again, we are Limitless Funding Source. It's an offshoot of Limitless Lifestyles. So we house the funding portion of the company. The other portion deals with credit repair. So we're a full service business solution. We service small business owners and try to get capital and for startup businesses across the US. And just for joining this webinar and taking a look at this, we want to give you something very special. Dwayne, you want to talk about what that is?
Yeah, so pretty much it's a free gift. You text the word money to 484848. What you're going to do is be able to actually get a free gift that will actually utilize your success in fixing up your credit. So I don't want to tell you guys what it really is, only because it's a gift. So once you open it up, you'll realize it's something that you could benefit from. If you can't benefit from it, guess what? Your family members can. If your family members can't benefit, your friends can. And if your friends can, your dog, your cat, your rabbit, someone's going to benefit from this free gift.
Oh, why do you care about credit? Like you said, it's going to help them fix their credit. Why would they care about credit if we're talking about funding?
Oh, yes. Because at the end of the day is this. If you haven't been in business for over 2 years plus and bringing in between $5,000 and $10,000 a month, you're going to have to leverage your personal credit to get access to funding. And this is what we're going to specifically talk about. We're going to debunk these myths and theories that's out here. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market right now. Also, we're going to tell you guys exactly how you're able to get funding every 6 months. So we need you guys to really pay attention. And those who are not here right now and watching us as a recording, you can always go to our website at www.limitlessfundingsource.com and you can get additional information from us as well.
Yep. So get that free gift, money, 484848. Text money to 48488. All right, let's just jump right in. Who are you?
Oh, so even though you guys can't see it, I'm just going to speak freely about myself. My name is Wayne, the Money Man C. I'm one of the funding mentors of our company, Limitless Funding Source, which, like he stated, is an offshoot of Limitless Lifestyles. Pretty much, I got into the funding game because I was trying to purchase real estate, and I always wanted to be a real estate investor. And long story short, I knew you had to fix up your credit in order for you to get into real estate. That's what I was told. So while I was fixing up my actual credit, I stumbled upon business credit. Didn't know anything about it. I just knew it didn't show my personal credit. So I was super frustrated. I called the credit card companies, told them to put it on my personal credit. They stated that it's impossible. But long story short, once I actually started using business credit for myself, that's when it opened up multiple doors for me to tap into other industries. And, naturally I partnered with Lou. We had a long journey from the beginning because we had other partners, and now it's just us, ready to rock and roll. Just moving forward. So we specialize in getting clients business funding, lines of credit, and term loans, and also educating people on the funding process as well as credit restoration.
Right. Thanks, Wayne. Next up is me. I'm also a funding mentor. So I started out my journey, I guess you could call it, in school. So I graduated from University with chemistry and chemical engineering degrees, and then I went off to grad school at Cornell in material science and engineering to get a doctorate degree. At the time, I wanted to be a professor, and 3 years in, I decided that I started looking back and reflecting on my life. Why did I want to get a degree in the first place? I grew up poor, didn't want to be poor anymore, and I started learning about real estate and business. And for those of you, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Wayne?
You're a little blurry. Like sometimes you're a little choppy, so it's very staticky.
Okay. All right. Just let me know if it gets static again, and I could re-say what I'm saying. Long story short, 3 years into grad school, I decided that I wanted to like make money. That was the whole reason I went to school in the first place. So I left school, left grad school, and started a real estate company. I had raised about $2 million and purchased about 21 units in upstate New York. I also did wholesaling and lease options. And how I started was actually what I'm talking about here is business credit. I was able to get business credit and invested in marketing in order to um, get wholesale leads. And then I converted those leads into actual deals. And then those deals ended up allowing me a couple of my investors. And then from there, I learned more, bought some properties. And then I also used the credit as well to invest in a business. It was a debt collection business, and I put about 20 grand in there. So what we're talking to you today about will allow you to gain access to a lot of capital, and how you use it is really up to you, and we'll talk about that in the future.
And
In the future.
I want to point out too before we get started, since this is a webinar, we are not just people who are actually trying to educate people on funding. We're practitioners as well. So we're not saying things that's in theory. We're actually going to be telling you things that we have physically done personally and seen success in, and we were able to translate it into an actual business and be able to show you guys how to duplicate the process. And that's something other funding companies don't do.
Correct. Well, we have a lot of stuff that we do that other companies don't do.
Right.
But before we get into that, I want Wayne Moneyman C, take it away about this COVID-19 crisis, because there's a lot of myths out here saying that the financial industry is down. There's no one giving out any loans. Like, can you speak to that and just talk to people about that?
I definitely can. So it kind of puzzles me, and it makes me laugh now that we're pretty much in the middle of this pandemic. Still getting calls from clients who are asking, hey, is the bank's closed and things like that. The banks just put out a $2 trillion actual stimulus packet. Now, I don't know, at the time of this recording right now, which is, I believe today is April the 15th. A lot of
tax day.
Yeah, a lot of people got
the old tax day.
Yeah. So a lot of people got that Trump cash, And the reason why it's called Trump cash is not just because it's from Donald Trump, but there's a Trump card in the middle where you're probably going to have to pay it back. But with that being said, the banks are lending. They're lending heavy. The interest rates are low. I spoke to a few of my realtor friends. They're still going out there selling properties. They're still getting mortgages. The only thing that's different is the basic requirements may be a little different for real estate, but the basic requirements for funding are still the same. So ultimately, even though this is a tragic situation, and our hearts, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims who have been affected by the COVID-19, right now is the perfect time to get started, whether it's fix your credit or move forward for funding, because we're never going to see an opportunity like this with the lowest interest rates in history.
Correct. So that leads us into the mindset portion of this. One way to think about funding or to think about anything is to go with the masses. Oh, COVID-19 is happening, the coronavirus is going on, the banks aren't lending. That's a myth, that's a fallacy. The banks aren't lending, as Dwayne said, they're lending heavy. The interest rates are low right now, so it's actually a very, very good time to go out and get funding. A lot of our clients, one of the biggest questions is they'll get pre-approved. They'll get pre-approved for about, let's say 70 or 90,000, but then they'll stop and ask us a question of, hey, I don't think this is the right time. And we're on this webinar to try to get a sense of what your questions are. And also to put the mindset that you have to have when borrowing this money. So you could take this money and go out on a trip with it, or you could take it and actually flip it. And Dwayne's going to speak to the mindset right now of use the funds as a tool and be a strategic borrower. So what does that mean, being a strategic borrower?
I like to give people the actual philosophy of fire, because we all can connect to fire. So when I do this analogy on fire, you guys will understand. I always tell people when it comes down to success or any tools that you need for success, it's like fire. It can either burn you up if you use it the wrong way, or it can cook for you if you use it the right way. So with that being said, the mindset you have to have is that entrepreneur investor mentality. You have to understand that when you borrow money from the banks, it is not your money. It is a tool that you're using to get another tool. So I always try to tell people, if you're looking at funding, look at funding as a paintbrush. It is used to paint whatever you want to be painted. The bucket of paint would be your income producing asset, whether it's a business, whether it's working capital, whether it's real estate. And then your canvas that you're painting on is your actual dream. So yeah, you can use the tool for other things, but you will not receive the actual effectiveness that you're looking for. So you can use the paintbrush to actually pick up a steak and eat it, but it's not going to taste good. So it's very similar if you go on vacation and use the bank's money. Our strategies and our goal is to make sure you have this mindset of the actual successful entrepreneur and investor. Income producing assets is what we want you guys to utilize the bank's money for. So not only are you able to actually leverage your personal credit to get funding, but when it's time to pay the banks back, you have that income producing asset to actually cover those payments, which allows no money coming out your pocket.
Right. And I like how you jump from fire to paint to funds. So just wanted to take a time out to have you guys go to the website if you're ready. It's www.limitlessfundingsource.com. And what you'll do is go over here to this button here, click Get Started, and you will submit your information for a funding estimate. And I'll come back to that. So what can these funds be used for? So it's a two-part answer. One is anything, like the paintbrush. The paintbrush, like he said, could be used to pick up a steak or to paint somebody else's dream, right? But you really want to use it to paint your own dream, like use it for your own canvas. But what does that actually mean, right? We stress the fact that you should use it for income producing activities. So these are activities like marketing, payroll, fix and flips, acquisitions. So if you want to buy another property, if you want to buy another business, if you want to take the money and invest into a business, if you want to take the money and start a business. I seen a YouTube video the other day of a guy with a trucking company, and he did a really good job of the finances. I'm a numbers guy. So he outlined how much it cost for him to start his business, and it was about $20,000. With these cards, you could get, like business credit cards alone, you can get up to 70, you get 70,000, 150,000. And that's on the business credit cards just alone. So imagine if you have the skill sets to flip that money, right? You could, if I'm a real estate guy, you find a fix and flip property, you could be your own hard money lender. So again, use it for income producing activities, real estate acquisitions, purchasing businesses, overhead costs. And at the very least, if you have a high interest credit card or other debt, you can actually use these funds and offset those debt. And my dog says roof for yes.
Yeah, that was right on cue. So I want to piggyback off of the actual numbers you stated, that you saw the guy on YouTube, and you also say you're a numbers guy. I want people to understand this before we even get started. Opportunity costs. You have to pay to play. And at the end of the day, if you think you're going to get in and not pay anything, you're sadly mistaken. You'll be waiting on the sideline as opposed to being the LeBron James of the game. But the beautiful thing about opportunity costing, it doesn't have to be at your expense. So my mentor once told me it takes money to make money, but he always says it doesn't have to be your money. So with that being said, understand that moving forward. So it doesn't matter what the interest rates are, what fees are, just know that opportunity costs, but you don't have to flip the bill.
And just to reiterate what Dwayne is saying, like every business has fees. We have fees as well. However, what we do is we put our fees on the back end. After you receive your funds is when you pay. So unlike other companies where you have to pay upfront, like a couple $1,000s, maybe 5,000, whatever, I don't know what they're charging. For us in our process, we go through the whole entire funding process with you, And we give you all of that for free, the funding consultation, the strategy sessions, the free gift. And once you get funded, that's when you actually satisfy or honor the invoice at the end. And we show you how to use the bank's money. We show you how to use the bank's money to take care of the fees, which is kind of crazy. So if you're looking at it, let's say you get a funding estimate of $100,000 and you actually get awarded $100,000, right? We'll send you an invoice, so you'll use the bank's money to take care of that payment, and then you'll have the rest of that cash to do what you need to do with it.
And we won't leave you guys stranded high and dry, because we have multiple strategies that we're going to discuss at the end on how you can actually make sure you benefit from that.
Correct. So we talked about what to use the funds for, but what are these fundings? Like, what are we talking about when we say business credit or business credit cards or term loans or lines of credit? And now is when we're going to actually talk about it. So what is a business credit card? Mr. Wayne Carpenter.
There we go. So what I want to do is this. I want to go through all three of them real quick. They're called three different funding sources. So unlike other companies, our focus is getting as much capital as possible for every client that we have. So business credit, we have clients get about 30 to 75,000. The term loan clients get between 100 to 200,000, and the lines of credit is pretty much just like a checkbook. So all you're doing is open up a line of credit and you can borrow back and forth. We put 150 to 250, but clients can get more than that. But that's just the average. So okay. I want everybody to understand that while we're going into each one in detail, everyone is different. So I'm going to start with the term loan because it's a little bit easier than a lot of other things that we're going to discuss. So the term loan is very simple. Clients typically get between 100 and 200K, like you saw. The interest rates are usually between 4.7 and about 14% right now. But it's for the life of the term loan, keep in mind. Now, we're going to show you some slides as well. Some of them may be before me or after what I say, but I just want to reiterate in all the information that I do know so you guys are aware. So now, the terms are 3 years, 5 years, and 7 years. Now, this is where the caveat is. We encourage a lot of people to take 7-year term loans. And the reason why is because the minimum payment is lower, number one. And then number two, when you have the 7-year term loan, you can actually take whatever your interest is and divide that by 7 years. So let's just say you got 14% interest for 7 years. All you're going to do is divide that 14% in those 7 years, and that's literally you paying 2% a year on, let's say you got approved $200,000. And since there's no prepayment penalty whatsoever, what you can do is use it for what we see a lot of people do, which is fix and flips, or whatever you choose to use it for. Actually make your money, pay the banks back, pay whatever services that you actually utilize, and still keep a profit. Now, when you pay the banks back, they're not going to penalize you for that at all. Because the beautiful thing about us is we're going after the funds that's going to benefit you the most. So on top of that, all the funds, like the term loans and everything else we speak on, are all unsecured and all uncollateralized. So you never have to put up any collateral for funding, and you never have to tell the banks what you want to do with the money. So.
Okay. So just to ask you a question real quick,
sure.
Because on the next slide, I actually put out the payment as an example. Okay. So let's say someone gets for a 7-year loan and it's at a 10% interest rate. So what percentage would they pay each year on that? If it's a 7-year loan, term loan, and it's at a 10% interest rate, so are they paying 10% each year?
No, so what they're doing is they're going to divide that actual 10% into 7 years.
Okay, so they're paying 10%. So if they got $100,000, they're paying 10% total. So they're paying $10,000.
$10,000, and you're going to divide that $10,000 into 7 years. So that's usually about $1,400 a year for 7 years. But then what you're going to do is this. You're going to take that $1,400 and you're going to divide that by 12 months. Now, if you divide that by 12 months, that's $116 a month in interest. Now, this is the cool thing. You can pay it off in like 3 months. So let's say you are super good at fix and flips. You can get a hard money loan use the hard money loan for 80% of your actual property. The other 20%, use the term loan. After you use the term loan, when you sell that property, you pay the hard money lender back, you pay the banks back. Let's say you do it in 3 months. Then that means you literally did 116 times 3. You spent $348 in interest of the bank's money. That's all the banks made off of you. But you made a plethora off of your fix and flip. That's what it's all about, having the mindset and the strategy of an actual entrepreneur.
Going back to the mindset, the way, like I said, I'm a numbers guy. I think, Wayne, you're a numbers guy too. If you get $100,000 and it's a 7-year term loan at 10%, that means you owe $10,000 in interest on top of $100,000. So how I would actually look at that is I have $90,000 to play with. I'll put $10,000 in the bank, and that's the money I'll be using to pay them over 7 years. And I have $90,000 to flip in 7 years. That's how I would actually, look at the funds with that. So that's the term loans. And really think about it, with the term loans with these low interest rates, even if it's at the maximum of 14%, that's still 2% each year that you're paying, which is lower than any bank would give you for an investment loan. You're doing buy and hold or fix and flips. And the strategy get crazy. It gets very interesting when you're looking at combining it with other sources of capital, like a hard money loan.
Correct.
Hard money is not going to give you 100% of the property or 100% of the rehab costs. Usually it's about 80%. You would take this term loan and take 20% of that money. Let's say they need 20,000 and you got awarded 100. You could take 20,000, get the hard money loan, and still have another 80 to do what you need to do with it. Or you could, triple that. So the strategies it's really, there's a lot of different strategies that you can use.
Correct. And I want people to understand, like, this isn't some esoteric kind of strategy where someone who's above and beyond power can do this. You can do it yourself. We're just lucky or blessed enough to actually do enough research, utilize these tools to get ourselves out of the rat race. And we were able to take this information and say, you know what, let's educate the public so they can actually benefit from what we have benefit from. And that's what we're out here preaching.
And that's another thing. That's where consultation session comes in. There's actually 2 consultation sessions that happen. The first one is after you get pre-approved, or before you get pre-approved, we ask you questions about, what's going on, like, what do you need the money for? Not to hinder you, but to actually help you. And then next is trying to strategize of how you can best use this money. What else do you have? Do you have a hard money lender? And going into it from there. And that's just the term loans. The next thing we wanted to talk about was business credit cards, which is actually one of my favorites to go with.
It's a lot of people's favorite. And now, I tell people all the time, business credit is not going to give you as much money as term loans. So if you're looking for that 100 to 200K, you're going to be best to go with the term loan. If you don't mind actually taking that actual capital and fixing and flipping properties, or just buying a property outright, that's a term loan. But let's say, for instance, you don't have any stated income because you did your taxes and you may have wrote a couple things off. And now when it's time for you to get funding, they may not give you the term loan because of the requirements, which we're going to discuss a little bit later. Business credit is where it comes in, because business credit does not require any stated income whatsoever. Now, with business credit, we typically get clients between 3 to 7 business credit cards. Now, all these cards are unsecured, like I stated, and they do not show on your personal credit at all. So if you need to max out the cards for a real estate deal, or you need to max out the cards for working capital, it will not affect your personal credit. So keep that in mind. Now, each card will have about $8,000 to $20,000 on it. We're seeing in this market right now, because of the COVID-19, we're getting clients that are getting $50,000 on each card. So let's just say, for instance, for laugh and giggles, you only got 2 business credit cards at $50K. You're at $100,000. But what if you're that unicorn and you get all 7 cards at $50K? Now your life changes, because now you're over $250,000, which means you could do bigger deals. See, a lot of times why a lot of people do wholesales or they do these small deals in real estate is because they don't see themselves having a plethora of capital. And even businesses, they're afraid to market, on a high level because they don't have that capital. But if you're
Correct.
a business and you have about $250,000, now you can throw $40,000 or $50,000 into marketing and advertising and pretty much get double or triple the amount of capital.
Man, like you say, throw 40 or 50. I remember when I first started, I couldn't even think about throwing 450 into marketing. I was still working on, 1,000, 2,000.
Exactly.
But
That's why you have to change your mindset. And that's why I'm big on, and I'm a big advocate on the mindset adjustment. Because when you start realizing that these business credit cards are 0% interest for up to 14 months, and you're literally paying 1% of what you spend towards the principal, and you can reuse it, that's a washing machine theory. And you have to prepare your mind for that. Because a lot of times people think the hardest thing is getting the capital. No, it's not the hardest thing. All of this is technical information. The hardest thing is the emotional, the mental of shifting who you are now into who you're going to become in the future, because you don't want to hurt yourself when it comes down to getting this capital.
yeah, that is one thing, is just being mindful of how you use the funds. So we talked about term loans, talked about the benefits of that. The benefits of business credit cards is that it does come up on your personal credit profile. So when, let's say, if you are in real estate, you get $100,000 in credit cards. Oh, a couple of you probably asking, like, how do you buy a house with credit cards? That's one of the free things that we give you. We're going through the program, and our process is, once you get the capital and honor the invoice, we send you, it's 7 ways to convert credit to cash. And just one of those ways is a cash advance, but that's the worst way possible. Highest fees, during the cash advance. But we actually show you there's 6 other ways, there may be more, but there's 6 other major ways that show you how to convert this credit cards into cash so you can take that cash and buy properties with. Again, just a little bit about me. I was a wholesaler when I started. I got $20,000 on my first round of funding, and then another 60 in my second. And instead of doing a double close, if a couple of you guys know what that means, I took the cash out of my cards and I bought the property, and then I sold the property to the person I was wholesaling off to the very next day. I didn't need any transactional thing or anything like that. So this stuff actually works, taking the cash off the credit. And if you see these cards that we give you, they don't show up on your personal credit profile, and they're also 0% interest for the first 12 to 14 months. And then the beauty about this is, let's say that you have a balance of $10,000. You got one card at $10,000. Your minimum payment is going to be $100. It's going to be 1% of what you actually used. So $100 a month. Like, that's nothing. You see what I'm saying? That's man, you could explode your business with that.
And let me chime in. What you have to understand is that 1%, it's going back to the principal. It's not going towards interest.
Right.
So if you need to reuse it, you can reuse it. It's not a problem to do that.
Yeah. Again, a lot of you are in real estate. There's something called the holding cost. When you borrow money from a hard money lender, they have a holding cost, amount that you have to pay each month. This is 1%. You're not going to see that anywhere else, because this is not hard money. It's just a business credit card. You become your own hard money lender.
Correct. So I always tell people right now, if you guys are interested right now and you're hearing what you like, go to our website at www.limitlessfundingsource.com. That's www.limitlessfundingsource.com. There is no hard pulls. There's no soft pulls for pre-approval. You're just going to fill out basic information, your full name, your email address, your best contact number, date of birth and address, all public record information. And what we're going to do is be able to download your full report and send it to one of our credit unions that we actually do business with. And we're going to be able to get your pre-approval within 24 to 48 hours. Now, in the event you don't get pre-approved, I tell people not to worry. In the event you don't have the right credit score, the right qualifications, don't worry. Apply anyway. Our goal is to help you get to that level.
So we talked about business credit cards, we talked about term loans. Now I want to talk about lines of credit. So lines of credit are, you could think of them as checkbooks. It's not it's not a credit card, it's not cash. It's a line that a line of cash that the bank extends out to you. And let's say it's $10,000. So you'll have you could write a check for $10,000 and it'll come directly from that bank. Out of all three of these, lines of credit is actually the best one. However, it's the most difficult to get because of the requirements.
Correct.
And that's something that we're going to jump into next. I want to talk about lines of credit because a lot of people ask for this, but what the requirements are is you'll need 2 years of bank statements for your business. So you need business documentations for lines of credit in order to get that. Other two, the business credit cards and the term loans, you need no business documentation at all, solely based off of you. And this is why we say it's so important for you just to go and do the pre-approval stage, because after that, we'll be able to just you and talk to you about what's best for you. We'll ask you questions, how long you've been in business, what are you trying to use the funds for? Again, not to hinder you, to see how to get you the maximum funding, which is our goal.
Also, just to let you guys know as well, when you do get pre-approved, we're going to tell you what you got pre-approved for, whether it's term loan, business credit, or lines of credit. We're going to tell you, and it's your job to pick and choose which one makes sense for yourself, your business, or your investment. So I know Lewis has the basic qualifications, and I want to tap into that. So for the term loan, the basic qualification, you need a W-2 or a 1099 showing you made at least $50,000 or more the previous year, and you need a minimum of a 700 credit score, only because of this pandemic that's affecting us. We did see clients going at a 680. As long as you don't have any negative items on your credit report, your utilization is low, you don't have multiple inquiries, they want your personal credit to look really, really nice and pristine. But if you're able to have that basic credit report with $50,000, the banks will extend their courtesy to you and get you funded. So that's for term loans. Now, if you filed your taxes or you didn't file your taxes or you didn't make enough money or you don't have any stated income, business credit is here to the rescue. It's pretty much the Clark Kent of the actual industry, whereas term loans to me is the Superman of the industry because they give you so much capital. But if you have a 720 credit score, we have seen clients going at a 700, and you have an LLC that's been open for 24 hours, you will be able to be qualified for business credit, and you can use those cards for whatever you choose to use them for.
Correct. And like I said, the minimum qualification, in order for you to get any type of funding, you're going to need at least we have here a minimum score of 720. That's the ideal candidate. Like Wayne said, we have seen some people come in at a 680. So the credit score is the most important thing. The second most important thing is having that variable income. And you could think of it, like he says, the Clark Kent versus the Superman, or you could think of it as the starter business funding, business credit. That's why I like it so much, because it doesn't matter whether you are the Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or you're just starting off, you can still get funded. And the U.S. business entity, you could have an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp. The thing is, they have to be open within, for at least 24 hours.
Correct.
That's it.
Now, we have seen success with clients getting LLCs as opposed to other entities, because at the end of the day, you want to maximize the amount of capital you get. So I can only tell clients what I personally do. I always make sure I have an LLC. If you need help filing for an LLC, we do that for you guys as well. And that's a complimentary service that we do for all of our clients who get pre-approved, just as a courtesy. So you don't have to worry about paying a third party. You don't have to worry about paying an attorney hundreds or thousands of dollars. We actually do that for you guys as a courtesy, because our goal is to get you funded so that way you can live your dream.
Man, we're about to start charging for that. I'll tell you that right now. Talk about courtesy.
Yeah, we got it.
So the key takeaways, I just want you to know, is go ahead and fill out the business funding questionnaire and let us review your file and let you know what you qualify for. Again, if you don't qualify, we have ways for you to get qualified. It's going to involve getting your credit fixed or something. maybe your utilization is too high. Your credit could be perfect, but you're just using too much credit. And we have strategies on how to lower that as well. So basic takeaway is just go ahead to apply. How do you apply? One is, well, what's the steps? You apply. So I'll show you the website and the steps as well. Get pre-approved. There's no obligation, no fees at all. It's 100% free to you. And the second thing, we get on a consultation to figure out what the product is for you and your situation and what you're going through. And then the third thing is you your funds and then honor the invoice at the end. And then that's at the end, that's when you get the second round of free gifts as well, like free information.
I tell people all the time, you know, at the end of the day, even if you get funded and you only get the minimum, let's say 30K, get your foot somewhere. Doesn't matter how you get the funding, because as long as your profit supersedes the fees and the interest that you have to pay, you're in a win-win position. So sometimes you're not able to hit a home run, you know, but you can hit a base hit to get yourself in the game and stay in the game. So when I started out, I wasn't able to get the 80, 90, 100,000. I got like 30 grand, but I was able to take that 30 grand and invest in real estate and invest in business and be able to scale everything to another level. Whereas
you got more than me.
I mean, listen, you know, every profile is different. And that's another thing that I want to tell everybody. So don't compare your profile to your friend or someone you heard on the streets, you know, because a lot of times we hear a lot of rumors, but we don't know facts. And our goal is to debunk these myths and theories. So, you know, SBA loans you hear about business credit solely based on your EIN. They don't tell you what you have to do. You have to actually be in business for years. You have to show a certain amount of income. They're not just going to give it to you. But whereas with these funds, you know, especially with business credit, you don't have to show any income. So at the end of the day, we just like to keep things as practical as possible.
Yep. So what we want you to do is head over to the website, www.limitlessfundingsource.com. Take you to this page. You can scroll down to learn more about the funding process and the products that we have as well. But what you want to do is just click here to get started. And I'll say this, don't deny yourself. Let us be the one to tell you no. Let us be the one to do. So go over here, click started, and take you to this page here. We're going to reiterate 1, 2, 3. Fill out the basic information. We don't ask you for a social. We don't have any information like that. What we do ask is for your name, your phone number, your email address, how much funds are you seeking, your birth date, and the home that you reside in, like your home address. And then click submit. And then within 24 to 48 hours, we'll reach out to you. We don't call anyone on Sundays. That's what we tell. So that's why I say 24 to 48 hours. We'll reach back out to you.
Business hours. So we'll keep it as simple as possible.
Yes. So what sets us apart from the funding companies? And the biggest thing that I could say is the level of service. Like everyone says that they have great customer service. I mean, if you don't have great customer service, why are you in business? So the thing that we have though is the complementary services. You could think of us as a concierge, right? When you come to us, we're trying to get you the maximum amount of funding possible. So we really would like to know what situation you're in and what are your goals. And as you see here, just the multiple rounds of funding, we have that there twice because that's big. The minimum payments on all funding products, you know, and then you could acquire up to 50% more funding the first round without paying for it. So again, we tell you to honor the invoice after we send you the business credit cards, but then we show you strategies on how to get more from the cards that we sent you without actually paying us. So lastly is the complimentary DIY kit, the inquiry removal toolkit. So if the people in the beginning, if you actually stay to the end, we reveal what the gift is. So if you text money to 484848, we give you a complimentary DIY inquiry removal toolkit. This is actually worth $100. We sell it on our website for $100. But if you text money to 484848, that's our free gift to you. And what this is, it's a do-it-yourself inquiry removal toolkit. Like you send in, we show you exactly what letters to send. If you have inquiries on your report and to get those inquiries removed. And the reason we do this is because we want you to get the maximum amount of funding possible. So
Right.
this maximizes your funding potential. And then lastly, I'll let Dwayne talk about this last thing in blue, is the complete strategies on how to duplicate the process every 6 months in your specific situation.
So I'm going to make a lot of people smile. A lot of times people feel like whenever they actually find something out inside the market, they have to order it. Our mindset is the abundance mindset as opposed to the scarcity mindset. And with that being said, since we're mainly based on education, I always tell people we're an educational funding company. So with that being said, whenever you guys get this complete strategy on how to duplicate the process, we mean exactly such. So let's say, for instance, you get approved for $100,000. We're not just going to keep the service to ourselves and tell you to keep coming back to us. Now, if you feel comfortable with doing so, then you can always come back to us without a problem, and we'll be able to, have you guys go through the service. But we are going to provide you for your profile only exactly how to duplicate this process every 6 months. So you'll never need a funding company ever again. All you need to do is follow our strategies. Don't try to be like, your best friend, your cousin, your mom, your grandma, and try to add a little sprinkle of seasoning on the top. If you add that, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to be coming back to us frustrated, stating that what we do does not work. Because everyone wants to add their something on top of it.
And I'll give you a story. A lot of clients came to us and said, "Oh, what bank do you get funding from?" I mean, yeah, we're partners with over 100, about 78 banks in the U.S. I can't tell you exactly all the banks, right? So I told them seven banks. So he was like, "Oh, I could do this myself." He did get him himself. He got $1,000 in business credit. I was like, "All right, great." And then he came back to us and I said, "Now you have to wait, 6 months for your next round because you did it yourself." So you can do this yourself, but you're not going to get the maximum amount of funding and you're not going to get the rest of the stuff that we have to offer. And the biggest thing is this. The reason we can't generalize this process is because everybody's situation is different. But after you go through the funding process once, we could systemize it for you. And then you can take the information and, do it for yourself and repeat it. However, a lot of our clients just come back to us because it's a lot of work. Raising money, getting capital is a lot of work.
I'll give you a great example. Let's say, for instance, you get funded, right? Not from the major banks, not from the small banks. You only go through credit union. And let's say a credit union, Alabama, actually funds you $40,000 in total for your funding or on one of your business credit. You can try to tell your friend to go to Alabama and go to the same website or go speak to the same rep, speak to the same department to get the funding, but they may not get anything because every credit profile is different. Because A, they may not have a mortgage like you have. B, they may not go to the mortgage company that you have. C, they may not have your credit history. They may not have your credit cards. They may not even have your payment history. So every profile is different, and these banks look at that. I always try to tell people, and I try to be as practical as possible. We normally go through 78 banks for business credit, but there's a total of 100 banks. There's 100 banks out there that do business credit. But only a few of them do 0% interest for up to 14 months, and it's going to give you the maximum amount of capital. So you can go out there and do it yourself. Listen, I have a huge lawn on my home. I got a lot of land. I'm not mowing that lawn. I'm sorry. I can do it, but I'm not doing it because my time is too valuable. So I'm going to spend my time on the things that I know how to do best. And I'm just going to pay somebody $50, $100, $200 to mow the lawn. That way I'm able to perfect what I'm good at, and I'll let the specialists do what they have to do. A lot of times we tend to do that is because A, we don't see value in the product or service, or B, we're trying to save $1 or $2, but wind up losing money or time. So you have to change the mindset.
Correct. The thing about the lawn, like, you as well mow your own lawn if you're just gonna use that time to sleep or do something else. We talk about if you are busy and you could actually make 60, 70, 100, 150 in your actual profession. Why would you waste, if you did the math and see how much you made an hour, that's nothing. You see, just pay the person to do the lawn while you go focus on your craft. And that's what we're here for.
And I'm going to be practical. I'm sorry. I get super excited because I love what we do. and I always like to be as straightforward with everyone. I'm going to be completely honest with everybody. At the end of the day, if you're generating $20, $30, $40,000 in your business, you don't have time to do certain things. You will pay someone to do certain things. If you're using this for real estate and you're bringing in a cash flow of $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off the bank's money, and you're looking at deals on a daily basis for your personal investment, you don't have time to worry about the small ancillary things. You're going to be focused on doing what you do best. So I'm going to just save you guys the headache and tell you, hey, man, if you have to do it yourself, do it yourself. It's not a problem. But if you are going to do it yourself, get the information from the specialist first.
Yes. And the biggest thing of all, I'll say, is in bold right there. There's no money out of your own pocket. Again, I'm just going to reiterate this one last time. Once you get the funds, that's when you satisfy and honor the invoice that we send out to you. And it's a small invoice that you honor at the end once you get all this stuff from us. And yeah, I just can't reiterate that, because when I went through business funding, one, I had to pay up front and on the back end, so it was kind of.
A lot of companies that do that. I'll give you guys a little strategy on how you could use business credit real quick, and I don't want to take too much of your time. Let's say, for instance, you get funded $50,000. Now you know where you stand. I would literally take the $50,000 and I would look for a multi-unit. And the reason why I want to look for a multi-unit, because I want to get a bang for my buck. Because now I can look at properties where I can put down a down payment of $30,000, $40,000 with all closing costs in total. So now, let's say, for instance, you go for a mortgage. The mortgage company cannot see that you actually taking cash off the business credit. Why? Because business credit doesn't show in your personal. So now that mortgage company is giving you 80%, but you got to come with 20%. You use the business credit for that 20%. You're at 100% finance, none of your money, infinite rate of return, no matter where you go at this moment. This is what you do. Now that you have your business credit, you have a tenant pay the minimum payments on those business credit cards and your mortgage. Your cash flow may not be as much as you want it to be at the moment, but it's a temporary setback for a major comeback. Keep that in mind. So now your tenant is paying your minimum payment. Still no money's coming out your pocket. And in about 12 months before that 14-month 0% interest expires, refinance on your property, pay off your business credit cards. After you do that, you don't owe the banks anything when it comes down to business credit. You have a property free and clear. Duplicate that bad boy every 6 months. Tell all your haters, I see you tomorrow, because we all got haters. You can't escape it. And 9 times out of 10, if you cannot find a hater, it's probably you. So at the end of the day, let's get focused and let's make it happen.
So just like Dwayne said, one of the strategies that I used was to find, I got into a 9-unit. I paid $30,000 down. I got the seller to do a seller finance. The total price of the property cost me $280,000. I put $30,000 down, and I had the property in 2 years. So basically, after fixing up the property, getting it all nice, I knew the after repair value of that 9-unit was $350,000. Again, this is in Syracuse, New York. I know a lot of y'all are looking at it like 9-unit for $350,000. That sounds crazy. But anyway, it's in a C-class neighborhood in Syracuse, New York. So those numbers are really low. So I got $30,000 down, fixed up the property. I was all in for about $70,000 after fixing it up, fixing the roof and everything. And then 2 years later, I actually refinanced out of it, got the bank to give me 80% of the after repair value of $350,000. And then I paid off the credit cards and then did it again. So you have a choice when you use the money wisely. I had a choice to either sell the property. I could have sold it for even $300,000 and still got out of there with a profit. So, $300,000, I could have sold the property or refinance. Decided to refinance because 80% that the bank gave me was more than I bought it for, because I had it on the contract for $280,000 from the seller finance. So we're coming to a close on this webinar. And one thing that we like to do is partner with people who actually are moving and shaking in the industry. We want to be able to help small business owners get up to $5 million this year in funding. And we want you to, we want to help you help other people as well. So if you want to become a partner with our organization, just head over to limitlessfundingsource.com, click on become a partner, and then, click here and it'll bring you to a page, a simple form where you put your name, phone number, email address, and then we'll reach out to you. What we like our partners to have is some type of a list or platform where they can reach people just like we're doing right now. Because like I said, we're an educational company first. We are a for-profit business, but we're an educational company first, and we want to help and serve people. Because again, I grew up poor. I didn't have anyone give me any money to start a business. So once I found out about business funding and that I could buy houses with credit cards, I want to actually change my destiny and my future generation and help as many other people realize this information as well.
And what I want people to understand and piggyback off what you said, to get $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in actual assets is not difficult. It's really not difficult. Because if you can hit a lick, let's say for instance for funding, you get $40,000 in business funding. You can do this every 4 to 6 months. All you have to do is find the right deal, purchase the right property. Your net worth goes up. Like I stated, a lot of times when you look at certain people, the actual profile of what you think or who is a millionaire or a multimillionaire, you really would never know unless they actually showed you their checkbook. I'm telling you guys that it is impossible. That it is possible. We always hearing about how people made it and how they're super successful, but they never tell you the details on how they got it. So if I said, hey man, guess what? I found a way to get $20,000, $30,000 a month, just off of, making money. The person on YouTube or Google, they never tell you how they did it. The devil is in the details. And what we're trying to do is expose the devil to show you to say, hey, you want to get $1 million worth of real estate real quick, get your cash flow up $5,000, $10,000 in 12 months or less? Listen, this is the source for you guys. And if you guys are not able to actually get funding, we have an amazing credit repair service. We have actually 2 options, and I'll let Lewis talk about that before we go. Whereas we're here to actually help you get yourself to get funding.
All right, so 2 things. Again, the become a partner on the website. Lastly, just want to tell you again, text money to 484848, and you'll be able to get the inquiry removal toolkit, which would allow you to maximize your funding potential. And just wanted to thank you all for being on this webinar. Those of you who are signing off, just be safe out there with this coronavirus going on right now. And for those of you who are still on, after this webinar, we're going to do a Q&A section for about 15 minutes just to answer your questions, because I seen that there were a couple of questions out there that wasn't answered during the webinar. What Dwayne talked about was if you do not get funded, like let's say you fill out the funding estimate and your funding estimate comes back at 0 or it does not qualify, we actually tell you exactly why. And usually it's about your credit. So we have 2 phenomenal ways for you to actually fix up your credit. One is a DIY. Similar to the inquiry removal toolkit, we created a do-it-yourself credit repair membership site. It has 12 videos, modules in there, and we provide you every single document that you need in order to fix your credit, along with the steps and where you need to send it to. So it's the exact same process that we use in our business to fix your own credit. Like if you have the time for it, you can do it yourself. And just for you being on this webinar, make sure you tell us that you were and give that promo code of 484848 when you call in, and we'll give it to you at the discounted rate of, what is it right now, Dwayne? I think the regular rate is $250, and the discounted on the DIY credit repair.
Yeah, it's $249.98.
Okay, so regular rate is $249.98. But if you give us the 484848, we'll discount it $100 and give it to you for $149.99.
Now, also, DIY before you go into the second part, a lot of times people have a lot of time, which if you're not working at home, you do have nothing but time. You can actually watch these 20 videos. You'll have all the documentation, and you could use this time to leverage your life and actually get yourself going by watching these videos, fixing up your funding. Fixing up your credit. And if you don't have the time or you want to be hands off because you're super busy, that's when we do have the service. But I'm sorry about that, Lou.
Yeah, so the service is, you're not going to find a cheaper rate than this. Again, our primary business is to get you funded. So we found a way to make credit repair extremely cheap, even the DIY at the 249 price. So for the service is going to be 349.99, and it's a full service. It's one-time investment, one-time amount. It's not any monthly rate or anything like that. So it's 349. You get 3 months of service, and from there you'll get to where you need to be in order to get funded for the service. But again, the very first thing that you need to do is head over to the website and fill out the business funding questionnaire so we can see where you at. So once we know where you are, then we can know where we can take you. And for that being said, the webinar is officially over. I do want to jump into the Q&A section because there are some questions in here that I wanted to address.
Correct. Now, some of you did write a lot of questions, and I was able to try to reach out and answer your questions. But we're just going to read them off, and I want everyone to actually know, only because what I notice is this: when we're a community, the questions that you may not ask, someone else may ask, and you may want that answer. So, Louis, if you want to read off the questions, that'll be cool. Either
Sure.
you or I.
First question is, well, this is not really a question. Somebody just said that they're excited. They can't wait, Wayne, and they just want to get started. This is
Great.
from Ruru.
I'm excited for them, being honest.
So the first question is, what do you think of using business credit to do fix and flips? So I could take that question. Business credit, like I said, business credit is the most versatile one out of all of them that has no business documentation at all, because you can use it to actually do fix and flips. You become your own hard money lender. You could become your transactional funder. You could become your own investor, like taking the credit, converting it to cash, and then buying the property, or taking the credit, converting it to cash, and using it in tangent with the hard money lender. So let's say you get awarded $100,000 in business credit. After all the fees, after all the, you take care of the interest and everything, like we talked about, the mindset part, you're probably going to be left with about $85,000. You can use that $85,000 to go and buy a dilapidated property and fix it up. See, like for me, I'm a very strategic person. Like I always bought money off of seller financing, lease options, or at the very least, I'm buying the property 50% of the after repair value, depending on the situation. But that's a side note. This is just talking about the funding aspect. So yes, you can use the business credit in order to do fix and flips. You have $85,000, depending on your market. That could be enough to buy the property, fix it up, put it back on the market, and then sell it. If it's not enough, then you'll just have to use that business credit in tangent with something else.
Correct. And I was just answering that question too, because we see a lot of people do fix and flips. They use term loans only because term loans, like you stated, Louis, gives you a plethora of capital. So you're never short with the capital and you're able to make a bigger profit. So you have options, whether it's business credit or term loans, it's really up to you.
All right. So we got another person here. It says, I already paid and working with Paul on credit. So Paul is our internal credit repair specialist. After you've paid the credit repair side through Limitless FICO, Paul is the one that you're going to be with, and he's going to kickstart everything. He says should be.
Paul asked for Paul because he has other team members who are as good as him. But one thing I do like about Paul, he's really, really thorough, very, very technical. So he's very similar to Louis. I always say they're very, very technical. So if you want Paul, I always tell people act for him. If not, it'll probably go to one of his other team members.
Correct. It says he should be removing from credit bureau soon. Will the credit funding kick in as soon as I clear up?
Oh yes.
So I'll reiterate the question. So I guess he's in the credit repair program right now. Okay. And he wants to know, as soon as the credit repair program is over, what happens next?
Okay. So just to give you guys an overview on how our company is, We have our sales team, which is normally the team that actually calls you guys just to prep you guys and get you guys ready. But we also have our processing team who handles nothing but funding, and we also have our credit team, which handles nothing but credit repair. So once you finish going through the credit repair process, your profile is going to get sent to the actual processing team. So that way we can actually go get your pre-approval and then go for funding. So we're going to give you the courtesy call, let you know, hey, you're ready for funding, and we're just going to send you right over. All we need is for you to confirm and say, yes, I'm still ready to move forward with funding, which 99.9% of the people are. And you go right through the funding process. In about 14 business days, you get your funding, you smile, you laugh, you joke. We're going to ask you for a testimonial. If you would love to do that, that's so cool, because we also give a free gift on top of that as well for testimonials.
Yeah, so basically, once you're done with the credit repair, we give you a call, and then you will have to redo the funding questionnaire again, because your funding picture has changed. So once you get funding, how do you get the information to try to do funding in 6 months?
Repeat that one more time.
Once they receive funding, how do you get information to try to do funding in 6 months? So I'm assuming this is that free thing that we
Yeah,
talk
that's
about.
I was just about to say, that's a great question. So generally what happens is this: after you go through the funding process, you honor the invoice, we're going to send you the 5 free products, the free service, all that via email. You're going to have that information. So all you have to do is review that information. Some of it is in audio form, some of it is written form, because we still like written docs. And all you're going to do is follow the process. You're going to review it, and in 6 months, you're going to move forward and just follow the steps. If you guys need help, we always tell people, give us a call. One of our team members will be able to help you moving forward in that 6-month window. So we'll be here, to help you worst case scenario. But 9 times out of 10, we kind of make it as simple as possible for you to read it, absorb the information, and be able to move forward.
All right. Then the last question is from Randy. Are term loans going to be difficult to obtain due for someone that is unemployed or was unemployed due to this tough time?
Oh, yes.
So I'll start off, and then I'll let Wayne finish that off. So for term loans specifically, we ask for 2 years of verifiable income. That means that right now, if you got unemployed or you laid off or furloughed because of this time, you want to apply as soon as possible, because the last 2 years was last year and the year before. So they're not going to see what happened already. So you want to apply as soon as possible so you can get that fund, so it looks like you still have income coming in. And Wayne, you want to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, so right now, because of the COVID-19, as opposed to 2 years, they are doing 1 year right now. So if you didn't work the year before, you're still okay. But like Lou just stated, you want to apply ASAP. Like, you want to jump on it right now, because you're able to show that W-2 or that 1099. Now, the problem is this: if they do ask for a check stub or bank statement, we are seeing that there are exceptions because of this tough time. If you're able to get some kind of documentation or proof that you were working or something like that, there may be a way for you to actually get funding. But we don't know that until you just apply. Correct.
Yeah, so the best thing is just to apply, because I don't want to tell you no. I want the process to tell you no.
Right.
I'm the good guy. Let the process be the bad guy. You also don't want to deny yourself, which is what a lot of people are doing now. And the biggest thing, again, that we're hearing over the phones is people are saying they'll get approved for $90,000, and then they'll back off and say, well, I don't know what's going to happen in the market, so I don't want to take it. And I'm like, because you don't know what's happening in the market, you should take it. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you get approved for $90,000 and you don't know what's going to happen, that's $90,000 in your pocket. That mindset of things changes for me, because if I don't know what's going to happen in the market and the bank is giving me $90,000, they don't know what's happening either. So I could take that $90,000 and feed my family, pay rent or figure out how to flip it.
Correct.
Once we have this crisis, houses are going to go for, it's going to be like 2008 again. Like, houses are going to go for 50% of what they're, asking for now. So you might as well, this is the time to stack up as much capital as possible.
That's correct.
So that's what I tell people right now is, if you don't know what's going on and you actually got approved, which is one of the hardest parts during this time now, is because the banks don't know what's going on, but if they approve you, take the money. Take it and run with it. Go do what you need to do. He also followed that up. He says, you said to refinance after 6 to 12 months to pay back the business credit, right?
Oh, I would say refinance after 12 months, only because, I mean, you can do it for 6 months, but my mindset is this, and Lewis can probably take this. And then someone also, for you, Lewis, stated that they had 20K in Chase and they wanted to know how they can reinvest in a house. So just to answer the first question, I always say 12 months because the business credit cards usually last up to 14 months. So you got a 2-month window to refi. And within 12 months, you have enough capital inside that actual property. So when you refi, you have enough to pay off the business credit. Because the goal of the refi is not just to take capital and put it in your pocket. It's for you to pay off the business credit so you don't have to worry about interest. You don't have any more debt. And the debt that you do have on real estate, you actually are having someone else pay that debt.
Yeah. So the mindset here, this is what you have to take away. I don't like debt personally. I don't like debt personally because of the interest. I use my own money for things that I enjoy personally. So my car, my vacations, whatever. When it comes to business, I'll use debt and I'll try to get rid of it as soon as possible. So if you can refinance, let's say you get into the property, you always have to think about your exit strategy. You get into the property or you buy the business or you use the funds, you want to figure out how you can get rid of that debt ASAP. Correct. Because debt's going to kill you. It eats your cash flow. So if you can find a bank, you want to talk to the banks first and say, how quickly can I refinance out this property? So if the banks tell you, oh, you could refinance in 6 months, you want to do it as soon as possible. Like as soon as possible, refinance and pay that credit card off because that's going to eat your cash flow. The reason the funding that we're offering is so valuable is because it takes someone that has $0 and it puts them in a position to play. You just have to be very wise with how you use it. Again, interest kills your cash flow, so you want to be very wise about how you use the funds. It just puts you in a position to play the game rather than, just sitting on the sidelines. That's Correct. Why I like funding.
So plan of action. I always like to give plan of action. It's a lot of information. I know it's getting late. Plan of action is this. Apply for funding. If you don't get funding right now, go for credit repair. Do not waste time. I think they said the earliest way to plant a tree is 10 years ago or today. So right now, we know they have this COVID-19 packet, the Trump packet out right now. I would always say if you're not going to use that money to benefit your future, you're really wasting that capital. Now, granted, you need food, water, and shelter, so you got to cover that. Right now, you don't even really need clothing because we're in the house. So at the end of the day, that's not even.
I don't know about that. I need clothing, man.
I mean, I'm not going to walk around booty butt naked looking crazy, At the end of the day, invest in something that when you look back after this pandemic, you can say, you know what? I might not got funding, but I got me a 700 credit score. I was able to remove those collections. I was able to remove those inquiries, those late pays, and I'm ready to move forward with my life. So, a drop in the bucket for the investment in yourself is going to last you a lifetime because every 6 months you'll be able to actually win.
So last question, and then we're going to stop it off there. This person said, they said last question, LOL. Do you guys have an Instagram and provide any mentorship or coaching? Thank you guys for everything. We appreciate it. Yes, we actually do. So we have an Instagram. Hey, Wayne, can you put that in the chat box for everyone?
Yep. So
we do have an Instagram.
The Moneyman _84. I'm always on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at a Limitless Funding Source. So you can type that up. Another thing also, when it comes down to mentorship and coaching, we are actually going to launch our coaching program and our mentorship program. Unfortunately, when we were going to launch it live, that's when the pandemic happened. So be on the lookout for that. Check out our social media pages and we'll have that info as well.
In terms of the mentorship or coaching, our primary goal is to get. We do have those, the mentorship and coaching for the select individuals. So once you get funded, And once you go through the process, that's also a question that we ask at the end as well. I think my internet is chopping out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically from long story short, yes, we do have mentorship and coaching. Just apply and then bring that up during the questioning when you actually talk to one of us, and we can go from there. So it's the long story short to your question is yes, we do have the mentorship and coaching. All right, that being said, we'd like to thank you again. Don't forget to pick up your free gift by texting money to 484848. Don't forget to apply for your funding estimate. So it's not the actual application. Go to www.limitlessfundingsource.com, hit get started, fill out that information, and you'll get your funding estimate within 1 to 2 days. We will reach out to you. Again, drop in the chat box where you're from. I've seen Jersey, I've seen Atlanta, I've seen Texas, I've seen Florida. Just drop in the chat box where you're from. We'd love to see what states people are from. And if you have any other questions, we will send this webinar out to it as well within the next 2 business days. And if you have any questions, just reach out to that email, reply to that email, I will get back to you. But main thing is just get started, get funded, and be happy and stay safe. And I'll give it off to Wayne to close us out.
Yep. So last but not least, like I always tell people, follow me on Instagram at themoneyman_84. The same way it sounds, the same way it's spelled. The moneyman_84. Tomorrow, if you guys are on Instagram, you guys can check me out. I'm going live tomorrow at 8 o'clock with Alexis Lee. She's going to be the one telling you guys how to do fix and flips from concept to the closing table. So she's gonna be discussing how to actually do that. I'll be discussing how you can leverage the actual bank's money to get the funding in that actual particular space. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We look forward to actually seeing you guys. So at 8 o'clock, be on the lookout for that. And we'll be doing lives every week. And we're also gonna be doing webinars every week as well on different subjects. Just catering to credit repair, credit restoration, funding, and entrepreneurship. Yep. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys.